All right, class, we're going to continue learning how to use our integer rules for integer operations. So today, we're going to look at the idea of subtracting real numbers. Now, we need to remind ourselves, what are real numbers? Again, if you look up above my board, Mrs. Burton's got a visual for all the sets of numbers. And if you go over here, it says real numbers are a combination of all, A-L-L, all the number systems. All the number systems. Well, what kind of number systems do we have? Well, if you notice, it talks about the natural numbers. Okay, natural numbers, remember, are sometimes called counting numbers. They start with 1, 1, 2, 3. Whole numbers include 0 with the counting numbers. It talks about integers. Well, remember, we've learned that integers are numbers and their opposites. Rational numbers. What are rational numbers? Nice. Yes, rational numbers are something that we can write as a fraction. And then irrational numbers. You remember, irrational are things like pi. And so real numbers are all the number systems. So wow, that means everything. So let's go back to elementary school. Remember back in elementary school when you were learning how to subtract and your teacher might have said take away? Oh, subtraction, we're going to take away. 5 take away 2. We've got 3 left. Well, now that we're dealing with real numbers, we don't say take away anymore. We're going to see that subtracting 2 from any real number gives the same as adding -2. Nicely done. Some of you remembered from pre-algebra. So here's our definition. Here's our definition if we look at it. Definition of subtraction. It's not take away anymore. For all real numbers, A and B, the difference A minus B is defined as A plus the opposite of B. So I like the words that are written down here. Okay? To subtract, you have to add the opposite. And that's going to be our key words as we go through. Key words as we go through. We're going to add the opposite. So let's see what that means. Now, here in the beginning, just to get us started so you can see the steps behind it, we're going to rewrite each expression using addition of the opposite and then simplify. So let's look at problem number 1 here. We've got -17 minus 26. Well, let's rewrite that. We've got -17 plus -26. Do you see what happened? Yes, my minus sign became a plus, and then 26 became -26. So now we're back to integer rules. So let's look there. If we were doing our little highlighter method, well, did you notice that it's -17 and -26? They're the same sign. So guess what? My answer is -43. We add and give that sign. Nicely done. Okay, let's see what happens on our next one. So if you look at number 2, we've got -31 minus -12. So let's rewrite it. We've got -31 plus 12. Did you see what happened? Yes, that minus sign became a plus. -12, the opposite of -12 is +12. Yes, now let's look and see what happens if we use our highlighter again. If we use our highlighter, here we go. We've got -31. We've got +12. Ooh, different signs, different colors. We're going to subtract and put the sign of the greater. So when we do that, -31 plus 12, -19. So you see, the thing that we've got to remember, the step that comes in that we need to remember is to add the opposite. Addition of the opposite. Once you do that, we're back to addition rules, what we used yesterday, which everybody seemed to do really good last night on homework. All right, now let's look at number 3. Ooh. we've got x minus parentheses. Hey, do me first, but we can't really do anything in there because it's a letter and a number, x plus 9. Let's rewrite that, though. Remember, we're going to change the minus to a plus. Here it is. Remember that minus sign becomes a plus sign, and then we need to make everything on the inside the opposite. Well, remember that back in chapter 1:9? If I'm going to make this the opposite, that means the opposite of x and the opposite of 9. So let's see what that looks like. Yeah, do you see that there? And then did you notice, since we have positive x and negative x, they're opposites. Remember, we learned they're going to cancel each other out, and my final answer is -9. So once again, we've got to kind of slow down and make sure that we're really watching our signs. Slow, deliberate, and yeah. Okay, so now, here we go. Let's look at the last problem here at the bottom. Now, technically what they want us to do is to rewrite it as an addition sentence. So we've got -11 plus -43. We had to change the minus and add the opposite. Plus 1, we'll leave that alone. Then we've got -9, so we're going to make that plus -9. And then we've got plus 30. Now, I know some of you could do this in your head, but let's see how that works for us. You know, Mrs. Burton, I'm going to put all the negatives together. So, we've got -11 and -43, which is going to give me -54. So, we've got -54 plus -9 is going to give me -63. I'm going to write it over here. So we've got -63, and now let's put our positives together. Looks like we just have 31, and now we're going to subtract because they're different signs and give it the sign of the greater. So our final answer here is going to be what? 32. -32. That all kind of ran together. Sorry about that. Nicely done. Now, let's throw in some story problems here and see what happens. Let's look. Now, we've got to decide whether numbers are written positively or negatively. So it says, an elevator started at the 18th floor. It then went down 7 floors and up 9 floors. At what floor was the elevator then located? So let's get started here. If the elevator started at the 18th floor, is that going to be a positive 18 or a negative 18? Yeah, it's positive 18. We're 18 floors up above the ground level. It went down 7 floors. So what do you think we're going to make that? It went down, so we're going to make that what? -7. And then it went back up 9 floors. Should we make that a positive number or a negative number? Yeah, positive. All right, now let's put them together. And so I think we're going to get, what floor are they going to be on? They're going to be on floor 20. So you would answer this and say the 20th floor. Very nice. Okay, let's go down here. Good old Pythagoras. Pythagoras, the Greek mathematician, was born in 582. Key here is BC. And he died on his birthday in 497 BC. How old was he when he died? Now, what do you think we're going to have to do with these numbers to decide how old he died? Yeah, we're going to have to subtract. Which number should become first? Yes, the number that he died. And so he died at -497. Why did Mrs. Burton make that a negative number? Yeah, because of that BC. That's our divider there. BC means before Christ. And then we're going to subtract when he was born. When was he born? Well, he was born BC as well, -582. Ooh, we've got to take this minus sign and change it to a plus and add the opposite. And so, if you notice now, I've got different signs. We're going to subtract and put the sign of the greater. And so, yep, he died when he was 85 years old. So tonight you've got some story problems to do as well. So I want you to take your time. I want you to make sure that you check your work, keep up with your signs. Remember, To subtract real numbers, the key is to add the opposite. Nicely done. Did I forget to turn it on? I didn't. Okay. Let's do that again, shall we?